he was convinced that what God promised, what he promised, he was able to perform. In Mark 9:23 is where I want to park at for a little bit. Jesus said, and you all know the story, you can read it on your own, you've heard it 1,000,000,000 times, so I'm just picking up the story. Jesus said to the father of the child who had brought his child to him, discussing what had transpired and this had happened from his birth. And Jesus' reply to him was, if you can believe. Or just a line. I just want to just leave this impression. Look what he says. Now, we just talked about according to your faith. According to your faith. According to your faith. Jesus continualized this statement by saying, if you can believe. Now, notice something here. He didn't say, if you have faith. He said, if you can believe. He chose a different word. Now, faith and belief, they tie together more. But we just read twice, that's why I put it there, according to your faith. According to your faith. Here, Jesus didn't say according to your faith. He says, if you can believe. So he draws a distinction between faith and belief. That's why he used a different word, because he's now distinguishing between. We can use them interchangeably, just like soul and spirit, a lot of places interchangeably and so forth. So kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God, synonymous. But here, he draws attention to a distinction, a difference. He doesn't say according to your faith. He says, if you can believe. It's a difference than saying according to your faith. He's shifting the responsibility of what happened in another way. If you can believe. And he goes on to make this statement here. All things are possible to him who believes. If you can believe, he says, all things are possible. Now, I think I'm going to deal with possible a little later, so I'll wait till I get there. To define that word according to the true context, because with us, possible suggests a degree of contingency. It can, may, or may not. And that's not the definition of possible. It's really not a good word in the translation, but it's the word. But you have to understand what it means in the original set, and then you'll understand what it says there. So I ain't gonna be like I'm gonna criticize the translation of the Bible. So I won't get you on the wrong spirit like, well, Pastor, we've been here, you criticize. We won't go there. All things you can believe. All things. Park a minute, and I'm gonna move quickly. Park. Do you really believe that? No, you ain't have to answer. I just want you to think. That's God's word. See, your problem is when you read that, you automatically think about how many things went wrong, didn't go right, and see, your mind is already playing a trick on you. It's hindering you from embracing what God says all in. Because when you read it, you think about, well, why did this and that, and you're counting it. Okay. We can miss the things. We're not all knowing, so we don't always know what the plan of God is for our lives. When Adam sinned, no, actually, when Adam failed, because it wasn't called a sin until later, it was just a fall. It was disobedience, but it wasn't called a sin. We misquote that. Sin was used later. It was actually called disobedience. And disobedience does not automatically warrant damnation.
Come on. Yes.
So you're not damned to eternal doom because you disobey.
Yes.
Sin will damn you there ultimately. But disobedience doesn't warrant eternal damnation right out the gate.
Right.
That's why I'm telling you, I teach you because I'm correcting a lot of stuff, misnomers we have that's affecting how we walk. But his own guilt about his disobedience caused him to start committing actions that led him further away from the presence of God. God was so God that he knowing what was done, still showed up at the same place at the same time, asking, where are you? You would think that God would say, this man done messed up, I ain't going. Yet God act like it wasn't even done. See how you tripping over stuff? Because your mind is playing tricks on you. He showed up. Where are you? Now here's what it said years ago. This is what was said. And the message I taught about the conversation that never was. I think I did some lectures on that years ago. The conversation that never was. And that was about this right here. What was the conversation that never was? We'll never know today how God will have addressed Adam's disobedience had Adam just showed up just like God. Because even theologians say there are millions and billions of ways that God has, being all-knowing, to address problems. And we'll never know how God would have addressed the situation because Adam was plagued by his own guilt and started running, hiding, sowing, doing everything else. So God now addresses where he is instead of just addressing the situation right there. Because he didn't. We'll never know how God would have done. You will never know how God will fix your situation. But you got to be man enough and woman enough to just show up. This is big and bad like. I'm not arrogant, I know I'm your child. You don't throw away your child because they mess up. So as a child of God, okay, I'm going to show up and do what I was sure to do.
Come on now.
Did you eat what I told you? No. When they moving their hands, you know you done something. You know you done something you're supposed to be. No, I ain't done nothing. But at least they showing up. They're just like, that's what you're not doing. God says, show up. You don't know how. You can't case how I'm going to respond to a situation.
Yes, Lord.
But you already committed an action like God is against you. You just show up. If you believe, boy, this is something. If you believe, all things are possible. Then the Father immediately cries out, said in tears, look at him now, Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief. How can you believe and not believe at the same time? How can you believe and unbelieve? I've taught this in detail, and I got to draw attention because I just got to put you in a certain mind and spirit when you go into this thing. How do you do both at the same time? The same way that you commit yourself to an action with a backup plan. You're trying to operate in two things at one time and it just doesn't work. You're never all in on nothing. But he cries out, Lord, I believe. So let's just go and translate it right quick. Let me break it because Jesus used the word belief and not faith, because faith is something that God gives. It's really his faith that you have in your possession as part of your makeup in your being. Understand that. But belief alone is a cognitive function of the mind. It can operate independent of the faith that God has. Faith is something that God gives. It's his. He's given unto us as a part of our makeup, our being. But belief is a cognitive function of the mind. And it can operate independent of the faith that God has given. It's a cognitive function. Faith is really something that comes from a conviction in the heart. Belief is a cognitive function of the mind.
Yes. Wow.
Yes, Lord.
So I can do a lot of things out of a cognitive knowledge, function, and belief that my faith is not directly involved. Or I can choose to operate out of a conviction where I don't have cognitive information, but I got a conviction in my heart.
Yes, come on.
I just don't see how it's going to get done. That's what the man is talking about. God, I got the faith for what you say, but my mind is challenging what my heart is saying.
Yes, Lord.
I know in my heart that this can happen, but my mind is saying, how it can be done. It can't be done. That's an impossibility. So the mind and the heart are not on the same page. Thus is why you can't walk in victory. Because until you get your heart and your mind in sync, you're double-minded. You're in eternal chaos, disorder, through which faith cannot work. The spirit cannot work in chaos. Where there is not unity, how can two walk together except they be in agreement? I've said this 100,000 times, I'm going to say it again. There's so many things that you knew in your heart, but you listened to the cognitive function that weighing the alternatives and calculating the outcomes and possibility, and you allow your mind to talk you out of something you knew in your heart. This happens all the time. God, Lord, I have the faith in my heart, but I can't conceive it in my mind. Help my unbelief is help me to get my heart and mind on the same page. Lift your hand and say thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
I'm going to tell the Lord thank you.